appreciated. You know, we tried pretty hard to not make her some like over-sexualized, stereotypical female character. We like that she's a little more kitted out.
And she's wearing armor semi-realistically. As realistically as a vampire.
As realistically as vampires might wear
That's
armor.
Right.
So, I'm looking at her from a couple different angles. Hey, my alchemist is getting in the way. So she's a pretty freaky lady. You know, they're not fully deformed yet. They get into, if you played Soul Reaver, a pretty nasty state, this clan does. But she's not quite there yet. She's decaying a little bit. You can see she's kind of held together by duct tape and glue on some Nosgothian duct tape. But, you know, she's a little messed up.
So one of the things that, obviously it's not in the game yet, right now we have it in white box. We're still fine-tuning here. But can you show off a couple of her attacks and some of the things that she can do?
So she obviously melees like any good vampire should. All the standards are there. Roll-wise, she's a little bit more of a harass character. Obviously we don't want a pure ranged vampire because that would be frustrating. But she has a little bit more emphasis on attacks from distance. With her right mouse, you know, her primary attack, you know, the Reaver has a leap, the Tyrant has a charge, etc. We're going a little bit more magical with her, a little bit more range focused, but you know, those are on a cooldown, so you're not just going to be spamming this. But we really like this attack. It's called Abyssal Bolt. It's charge up this projectile. It lands, does damage over time, and builds up to an explosion. So good humans will probably get out of the way of this. But if you place it really well, it can do a ton of AoE damage on an impact.
I think it'd also be good for breaking up groups that are trying to come after you.
Totally. It plays a little different than your choking hazes. And you know, we're still fiddling with numbers, so don't read too much into that. But we like the skill in general. Secondly, her Q slot. So that's the only right mouse skill we're going to show off today. She does have a couple other things in the works that aren't just a projectile. I don't know. I don't see any specific questions, so I'll move on.
just some excitement. Oh god! I want to play this. I'm so gonna main this. Excellent.
So her Q slot is her pet slot. I have loaded out what we call the code name is Summon Pack, which basically it's, if you saw the blog about her, she has two types of summons, a smaller one and a larger one. This is the smaller one. You get two of them at a time. They're a little weaker, and they don't necessarily focus on one person. You target the area you want to spawn them, and then they kind of do their own thing. They're probably going to murder Mark here. You're seeing a bug, actually. They actually call the camera fake on her right now, and they're actually doing too much damage, so don't worry about the fact that they just butchered Mark.
Yes. Everything, as you said earlier, everything is placeholder, and don't read into any of the numbers.
They're actually a little bit too powerful right now because we had a bug where they weren't doing anything, so we didn't realize that they were horribly too strong right now. But you can see that's pretty cool. I mean, you can do a lot of things with them, right? Like, you can do damage without exposing yourself to as much risk. You can use them to absorb stuff. So one thing we're trying to balance a little bit is they're actually pretty damn good at absorbing bullets or alchemist grenades or just sort of distracting people. So something we're playing with a little bit right now is how do they show up to you? You know, they right now they have a health bar, which is a little confusing because you can't quite tell if it's a player or a summon. That's something we're iterating on, and also just how much health do they have? How much does it take to take one of these guys down? Because as a summoner, you don't want them to just, you know, explode instantaneously. But as a human, they shouldn't be this impenetrable wall of health that you have to burn through. So I can show off another skill. Let me see if I can get Mark to shoot at me. She has, her fourth skill is a shield. It's called Abyssal Barrier. And it will actually block, you can move with it, and it will block projectiles and bullets in that direction. And you can actually shield teammates with this, so what we've seen in some of the playtests is like a Reaver or a Brute following her with the shield up and then engaging as it drops. So that's pretty cool. You know, we're still balancing the duration, how big it is, whether it has a damage threshold or whether it's just a barrier. But it's pretty cool. We've seen some neat gameplay out of that, so we're looking forward to that one.
So for folks who who are interested in playing her, are there any characters currently in game you think that she plays similar to, or is she completely unique in the way she feels, in your opinion?
I would say she's completely different than what we have out there. The closest comparison is probably the Deceiver, only in that, you know, he doesn't have the same traditional skills as a Reaver and a Tyrant. You know, she's not gonna jump in and pop a evasion type move and run away with impunity. You have to use the barrier a little bit more tactically. You got to use your pets maybe at the right time. You know, if you played other games with pet classes, it's somewhat typical to just spawn them and let them go. Because they're a little more vulnerable in this game, you have to use them more. It's an ability, right? So it's more like maybe I want to wait till someone is distracted or weak and then put my pets on them. Because if I just do it mindlessly, they're just going to get nuked.
Funfi, it's gone past earlier, just left, but I want to know, does it just block bullets, or does it also block charge attacks, the shield? Does it also block charge attacks and special
It doesn't block
attacks?
anything from the vampire side. So vampires can like charge through it if they want to. But it will block things like alchemist grenades, hunter bullets, explosive shots, all sorts of stuff like that. You can melee through it, so what we've seen a little bit is if you see a summoner that's low doing it, she'll get charged by a human and beat to death by their melee, so that's kind of hilarious occasionally.
And another question is the bolt range. They just got in. They're just joining us. If you are just joining us, this is a sneak peek at the summoner in our little white box
The bolt range isn't set up fully yet. The design is that it will explode after a certain time, so you can't do chuck one. Obviously, we really like skill shots, and you should be able to aim it well and sort of arc it over something, but I don't, you know, we typically don't want her to just be like chucking these things from across the map at you. So I would think about it more like you're going to have a certain radius at which it will go before it explodes.
Do we have any of the other summoner skins to show yet? Those are still working.
I have one that I will show in a second,
okay,
but you can't judge it because it's not done. So I'm going to show her other summon skill. It's the bigger one, and the current design of the bigger one is that it's a slayer, and it will target one person and beat them to death until they either kill it or it kills them. It's got more health, it hits harder, but obviously it's 1 instead of 2, so it has some trade-off. So I'm going to target Mark here and summon my... Oh, I forgot. He's totally bugged. That's great. So he's not supposed to look like an angel with light. Someone broke it yesterday. Probably Morgan. You can get the gist though, right? He's bigger and stronger. He's not supposed to glow like an angel. He's pretty nasty looking, actually.
Well, for folks who are curious, what color will he be when...
Similar color to the other pets, so sort of a grayish, desiccated, ghoul-looking thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that is... Oh, you wanted to show the in-progress other skin. So again, it's not done, right?
I'll do that in a second. Someone wanted to see the execution. So this one is not done yet, but we can show a little bit of it. The gist, and see, like there's no blood effect, so it doesn't look right yet, but the gist is that both of her executions will involve her sort of manipulating their body, not telepathically, but with her powers, and then sort of ripping the blood out of them and drinking it directly. So less about throat ripping. Yeah, basically.
Okay, gotcha.
Less about, the throat ripping and curb stomping of the other vampires, and more about, something a little bit more magical or ethereal. And so skin-wise, this one is still a work in progress, but it's a little different for Nosgoth. We really like most of her skin concepts. This one, Eric's still going to have to tweak her textures and stuff a little bit, but
has a bit of the Egyptian flavor.
Yeah, a little bit. It's not Egyptian, but it's a little bit of an inspiration there.
I like that one. That one's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
not even done yet.
No, it's definitely not done, but pretty neat. She's got these like toe boot things that I'm trying to figure out, but they look like they'd be good for kicking people in the face or something. But yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Excellent. Well, that was your exclusive first look at the Summoner. The only bad news we have right now is we can't announce the name yet. But as you can see, she is fairly far along. We're still working on a lot of the tuning, still working on some of the art, the skins, and some of the animations, special effects, etc. But we will obviously give you guys an update as soon as we have one.
Die Folge ist vorbei. Legt euch den Folgenden auf die Lauer. Folgt mir auf Twitter, Facebook und YouTube, um auf dem Laufenden zu bleiben. Man sieht sich.